I've been trying my best to not think about you too much, not think all about your time.
I'm Jake Harper. I'm a 19-year-old singer-songwriter from Liverpool.
Who was your musical influences growing up?
I had so many. I remember I used to love Mika growing up. And I think his album Life in Cartoon Motion was the first album that I remember having myself, and I used to play it on my little CD player. Because I think like I've grown up with, it's like so many people have grown up with music, but it's that one album that you remember that kind of, it's the start of you having your own taste. And I remember like little 7-year-old me, that was me. But I've loved and still do love Stevie Wonder. And I like Adele quite a lot as well, yeah.
But was there a certain song that you remember like from your childhood that really like stuck out in your mind?
I used to, and I still do. It's still probably my favourite song, but I just mentioned Stevie Wonder, one of his tunes lately. Um, it's like I don't know if you've heard, like it's a really soulful kind of emotional ballad. And I just remember that was one of the first ones that I heard that I was like, this has really struck a chord, and this is kind of something that I want to do, and it's still a song that I go back and sing quite often now.
What was the first gig that you went to that you remember going to that made you want to get into music?
I think my first ever concert, I must have been like 8, and Ollie Mayers had just come off the X Factor, and I remember going and like he was just so cool on the stage, and he owned the stage, and I remember thinking like little 7-year-old me, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be up there. He was on his own. He was a male solo artist. And I think that's kind of my first memory of a large scale gig. But like I've sang throughout the whole primary school, and I remember kind of watching the older kids like sing and put on productions in school, and I was like, I really want to do this. And obviously when I eventually was the older kids and I was doing it, it's kind of full circle. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your music?
So although I have been writing and kind of making music for a while, I've only kind of been, I'm still quite new to making finished products, like songs that can go out, that aren't like pieces of lyrics on a piece of paper or like little melodies. So I think I mostly start with the melody because it's kind of what comes naturally to me, and I'll build, the lyrics and the chords and the music around that. And for me personally, I think the lyrics are probably the most difficult. Sometimes I'll have a song and it'll be a full-on 4-minute instrumental, and I just won't have any lyrics. I'll have a melody, but I won't have lyrics. And I can like sit on a song for ages, and it can be like that. But kind of in other songs, I really do appreciate good quality lyrics. So it's something that I do want to, get better at, and something that I try to think about a lot. But I'm also one of the people that, like, one of my mates, Beth, my closest friend, I'll send like a song to her at every stage, like when I first done it, and then the second draft, and I'm always asking for other people's opinions. So I think it's, the process is something that I'll learn more as I go along. Yeah, kind of that. And the songs I've got out at the moment, I've got 6 songs at the moment in an EP, and to be honest, they're all quite different because it was my first kind of piece of work that I put out. Most of them, are ballads, but I've got some more upbeat ones in there. And yeah, the way I kind of create the songs are the same, but they usually come out quite individual and different, which I like.
Can you describe your music in 3 words?
It's hard. I'd say contemporary would be one of them, because I love playing around with like vocal transformations and like different sounds. Like my newest song coming out now is kind of not centered around, but like kind of based around like the sounds of waves, and like it plays quite a big part in it. Also probably storytelling, because kind of just said about the lyrics then, kind of, even though it's probably not what I set out to do, every song ends up kind of having a story. And I think it's because I spend quite a lot of time on the lyrics and I sit on them for a while, and they do all end up kind of telling a story, which is quite interesting. And also maybe just ballads, because even though I do try my best to kind of make songs kind of happy and upbeat, they do usually end up kind of being more on the slow, somber side, which is unintentional.
So what would you say makes your music stand out from other bands or other artists?
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I am, completely different to everyone else and I've got something special. But I think up to now, something that I'm quite proud of is I am the only credit on all the songs, because I haven't worked with anyone else, and I'm not really the most skilled instrumentalist, but I have, kind of worked hard on kind of the different songs I've got, and I do kind of write and do it all, which I think is what so many, smaller singer-songwriters should be proud of, because it's a massive thing to do. Um, but I don't know, maybe, I have got a real love for it and a passion, and I just hope that that does come through in the songs, yeah.
So you have a new single coming out, and I believe it's called Never Happy.
Mhm.
I do my research sometimes, it does work out sometimes. Believe it, you said it's coming out on the 9th of April as well. But can you
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit about the song?
I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I wrote it a couple of weeks and months ago. And like I said, it was one of them ones where I wrote it and left it for ages, and then kind of came back to it, which isn't unlike me. But I had started the song actually with the main kind of center of it, which is the choruses, kind of made up of these like layered vocals, and it's quite like a big like textured harmony. And I'd written it that as a verse for a different song, and kind of like shelved it because, again, I couldn't finish the lyrics of it. But then I was just in a session, I was thinking, I really like this, but I want to make it the focal point of another song. So I kind of just restructured it a little bit and redone it, and that's how it came about,
Okay. So if someone was just about to listen to your music for the first time, what would you say they should expect to hear?
Like I said before, I've got, well, 7, including this one, out, and they're quite different. So it probably depends on which one they picked. They could probably expect maybe some of them are more upbeat, more synthy, kind of more electro pop kind of influences, and some are kind of just stripped back ballads. So again, depends on which one they choose. They could expect that, yeah.
They've got a mixture. It just depends on which one they want to listen to first. Okay, so you say you're based around Liverpool. Do you feel there's enough help around the area for artists like yourself to get out there and put a gig on and get your name basically out there? Do you think there's enough help around to get that sorted?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Liverpool, like you said, and the independent music scene here is unreal. Like, it's something that I've never seen before. I think there's so many artists and bands, in the area that are, like, maybe I'm biased, but like that are killing the game all the time. Um, and I think there's a lot of people that are willing to support local and kind of independent artists as well, which is great. In terms of like kind of venues, there's a lot of, such good spaces that are kind of available for people to showcase, um, and to perform with. But obviously, because of COVID at the moment, some of them are kind of struggling a bit more. Um, but I think they are there, and it's important to support them kind of spaces, because in turn you are supporting, the local artists by giving them a space. So in terms of that, it is a great city for it, yeah.
I agree with you. Like I say, my argument at the minute, like I say, obviously with COVID, a lot of places are having to shut down, or like you say, not sure if they're going to be able to open back up. But my argument's always been, you need them smaller venues, or you need them venues, because unfortunately, if you don't have them, how are you going to get the next up and coming artist or the next up and coming band? Because they've got to start somewhere at the end of the day. And unfortunately, and the way I see it, I always prefer going to a smaller venue. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love a good arena tour or something like that, but to me, you can't beat a small venue with the sound and just being that close to them, because it's all right going to the arena, but when you're a million miles away at the back, or it just doesn't sound the same. I prefer a smaller venue, but if you don't have them smaller venues, how are you going to get that sound? How are you going to get that, that artist to get the name out there? As much as I know it's cutting money back and all that to get it all sorted, but you still need them.
Yeah,
But
and
that's my
sadly,
argument.
it's these smaller venues that are kind of helping, smaller artists that are lacking the support that, and kind of the funds, but other kinds of basis that so many bigger venues have. So I think it's important to, put that support into the smaller venues, because, once they're gone, sadly, sometimes they are gone, and they get replaced by bigger chains or bigger things that don't have that support for artists in the same way.
Like, I know obviously when you're on stage, I know a lot of people, when they say they're in a band, they feel a bit more comfortable being on stage because they don't feel like everyone's just looking directly at them. But do you feel it's a little bit more harder to be, like, if you say, a solo artist?
I definitely would agree with kind of what you just said then, where when you're on stage and actually performing, it feels at times a bit more pressure when you're on your own, because people are just at you. Um, I do think it's equally as hard for kind of all creatives in, like, in all industries, no matter how many people are, they're made up of. It is it can be difficult to kind of get out there and get that buzz. Maybe as a solo artist, you know, especially when you're very first starting, you are the only person to network. There's no one else. Maybe in a band, there's 5 people that are kind of like getting the name out, and when you're on your own, you are. But I do think, you know, it probably is just equally as hard in terms of the non-performance side. I'd say, you know, it's hard for most small artists. That's why I think the support is so important, and like little like platforms like this are so important.
Do you actually have planned for the rest of this year?
I think in terms of music, I want to carry on writing, developing, you know, myself as an artist and my skills, and kind of finding that style that I kind of want to stick with. And kind of just try and gain more of a following and get my name out there a bit more this year. Yeah, definitely.
And if you had to be remembered for one thing apart from your music, what would you want it to be?
And this was so difficult. I see in this question, I was like, I really don't know. Like, I've got no answer. Okay, maybe I think, you know, if I was lucky enough to kind of get a bit more of a following and kind of make a career of this, I think, you know, nowadays with being an artist and with being a band and, you know, a solo artist, it comes a big platform, and it comes kind of a big, you know, you're not just, nowadays anyway, you're not just a performer or a singer. You kind of get this with social media, you get this big platform, and I hope that, you know, I kind of could be remembered for maybe trying to use that in, you know, the best way possible if I did ever, you know, have the chance to do that. So I think, I don't know, hopefully I get remembered for my music as well, but for being a good person as well.
I like that one. I do. I've not actually had anyone actually say that before. It's usually the one being remembered for having like the best trainers or something like that. So I actually like that one, that you're actually thinking about others as well. I know it's a little bit difficult to say at the minute, but do you have any gigs planned?
At the moment, no. But like we've just been talking about, I really do hope that the kind of uncertainty around, you know, live music and performing live is kind of eased for everyone soon, because like we've just talked about, you know, music is 100% best consumed live, and I can't wait to both be singing live and also be going to gigs again, because I mean, you know, it's something like no other, and we haven't been able to have that for a while, so it'll be good to get it back soon.
Is there any information that you want to put onto the interview?
I don't think so really, just obviously that the song that's coming out on the 9th, and that's it really, just that you can find me on social media and that. I've got nothing else, I don't think.
So thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to talk again sometime.
Very much, yeah, thanks.